Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the situation report or the summary for the day of 1208 for the 15th of June. Basically the past 24 hours, and this includes all the latest frontline changes that I have right at this point of recording, which is 7:30 p.m. in Moscow or Ukraine as well. I think they are more or less the same timing. So we're going to jump straight first into the Sumy front as usual. And before I start, subscribe and press the like button if you still want to see me ever again. So yeah, so the Russians still is on the offensive. So let me check. Yep. So just to double check a bit of things. So the Russian forces are still on the offensive. The main region is still in the north of Sumy, in this main sector. They are still conducting the offensive in this region here as well as Sussy. There's some kind of offensive happening towards Mariupolia, and there is of course the one at the Tekhino sector. So this is still the same thing strategically. Russian forces from Tekhino is still attacking Rizevka. Probably some shelling of Ukrainian forces are still on this side of the border. There is no indication the Russians are intending to attack and create a buffer zone around Tekhino. At least not now yet. Over the main offensive region here, the Russian forces have attacked the Ukrainians at Kindrativka, Andrievka, towards Pisarevka, towards Khotin. On the other side, there is fighting reported at Vereshkine, Yablunivka, and towards Kharkiv. And there is geolocation of Russian forces at Oleksievka and Kindrativka, confirming the front lines are correct. But that's for now. That's all for now. Like I said, until the Russians are geolocated at this forest age settlements, we cannot confirm that the Russians is going to go further. Because this is already where the buffer zone should be based on my analysis of the terrain. So there is no guarantee that the Russians is going to push further. The front line have not changed since they have moved to this point, so this could be very well where the buffer zone is. I saw one of the pro-Ukrainian guys, I think it's Donald Haisa, on the comments, like, scoffing, in the frontline changes report, not realizing that's a frontline changes report about why I'm not talking about the Russian offensive in Sumy. He didn't watch the SITREP, so you're watching the SITREP, so that's good. And I've said it like basically on almost every single day, so he must be not watching my videos. But yeah, the Russian offensive shouldn't have go past this line. If they go past, then they have to go all the way to Sumy, which is kind of not so wise. The Russians still have to capture these two towns, and as well as Yunakivka, as well as Sussy, and form the line around this forest here. So if not, then it's going to be very difficult. So fighting is still reported at Sussy. So this is a pretty essential if they really want to do a buffer zone. And over in this region here, I believe I may have mentioned this in the SITREP, I cannot remember, but the Russian forces basically have entered south of this position from the Goevo direction. From memory, I think I have said this. So basically that's all for the Sumy front. We go to the next front line, the Kharkiv front. This is Kharkiv, and at Kharkiv front there is some unique situation that's happening. We have found fighting reported on this side on this western side of the Kharkiv front. On two different places, Ivashki. This is the first time Ivashki is mentioned in our reporting. There's also fighting reported at the Udi region. So this could be diversionary. I don't think this is the offensive for now. I think this is diversionary, but definitely very, very disturbing. Ivashki is this a one street, Y street? No, it's a Y street town. So like, why are you here? Like that's the reason it's called. So basically that's something unique. But again, I say this is unlikely to be an offensive. But it's very irritating because the main fighting is here. So now the Ukrainians have to like go all the way there. It's super far away. So we shall see. Over in the Voschansk sector, there is still skirmishes happening around at Voschansk. There's also fighting again at Dvorichna. There was a stop since the 5th, but then it's back after 10 days. So we shall see how this continue to play out. Kharkiv front, no, not really that significant for now. Next front line, Dvorichna front. So this is Dvorichna, and so this is the Dvorichna front. Over the northern flank of the Dvorichna front, there is fighting reported over at Knyamka, and they are moving towards Koloziasny as well. So this comes as the Russians did announce the capture of Krasny Pershy. They could be coming from this direction, or they also claim capture of Kanyamka, so they could also come from Kanyamka direction. Is all possible. First off, over in the central region at the Dvorichna region, fighting is reported towards Dovhenke as well as towards Kotkivka. Dovhenke is mentioned by the Ukrainians. The Russians mentioned Kotkivka. I think more or less it's the same thing. It's more or less the same region. They're reporting more or less the same thing. And in the southern flank, there is nothing. So we move on to the next front line, which is the... Oh, sorry, there is something here. This is mentioned by the Russian defense, Russian sources. They basically said that the Russians have captured the grounds around here, or maybe this one around here. Basically the northeast of Dvorichna. So it might be actually referring to this one at Krasny Pershy due to the geolocation. So this is orange. This is orange. This is how we draw orange when we are kindergarten. And this is how I draw apple. Oh, there's some horrible apple. Yeah. So anyway, and although honestly no apple looks like this. If you think this is apple, try to find the apple that looks like this, even like this. No apple looks like this in the supermarket. Apple actually looks like this. Yeah. Actually not true. Actually, there's apple that looks like this. But okay, never mind. Forget it. No, this is misinformation. Over in the Kupiansk front, this is Kupiansk. At the Kupiansk front, the Russian forces are fighting in 3 different directions. In the northern flank, we have fighting reported at Holubivka and towards Kupiansk and Petropavlivka. This is very, very routine. Even the front line is very vague. So don't expect too much about this. Don't think too much. Don't lose sleep over it. It's not worth losing sleep. Talking about sleep, I'm very sleepy right now. And over in the other sides, we have fighting reported as Stepova, Novoselivka, and towards Khrushchevka. But that's all. Over in the Borova front. At the Borova front, it gets a little bit happening in the Borova front. This is Borova. There is shelling reported at Borova. And then in the northern flank, we have fighting reported at Zarizove, as well as towards Nova Kryakivka. So this is pretty routine. But we have Borova front. Lately has been pretty quiet. So this is a very sudden increase in activity. On the eastern flank, we have fighting reported at Kopanki, Novoyihorivka, and towards Novosahievka. So not sure where the direction of attack is. So we shall see how this continue to develop in this sector. Very, very interesting that the Borova front is starting to get a bit more activated again. We move further south to the Oskil front. This is Oskil. And at the Oskil front, this front line went super quiet. Fighting is reported only at Ohievka as well as Lipove. Once upon a time, not too long ago, just a few weeks ago, this area here is full of arrows. Now, no, yeah, deflation, no more arrows. And over in the Liman front, we have fighting reported towards Shandri Horove, Zarishny, Toske, and through the Serebransky forestry in the direction of Krykhorivka. This is actually something that the Ukrainians actually mentioned for a long time. I only just realized that they are saying that it's in the Liman area in the direction of Krykhorivka. So, and then in the Sivers front, they mentioned Krykhorivka again, which means that this attack is actually inside of Serebransky forestry near the river, moving in the direction of Krykhorivka. So that is basically Serebransky report. So no, that's what I just realized just now. So so but it's okay, it's okay. It doesn't change. We didn't lose anything. So we go to the Siversk front. This is Siversk. At the Siversk front, nothing much over in the southern flank. There is, of course, this at Ivano-Darivka I mentioned yesterday. In the northern flank, there is some major updates. Other than the fighting towards Siversk, or there is some shelling. At Serbianka, there is frontline changes. The Russian forces has basically been geolocated in the new position west of Krychorivka. The Russians continue to move on from after capturing Krychorivka, as they use the finger, they push the finger, deeper and deeper into towards Serbianka. So this finger, of course, looks really broken. It like, yeah, it's a bit thin. No, or either that is very broken, it's a bit fractured. I think need to go and see the doctor. But anyway, the Russian forces from this geolocation, they are around 700 meters from Serbianka. So this is actually pretty significant. And so we shall see how this continue to play out. I think Serbianka, if I didn't remember wrongly, was the place where the Russians lost a lot of armored vehicles crossing the Seversky Donetsk River in 2022. So there is a geolocation of armored vehicle getting hit. Otherwise, it just simply shows the Ukrainians are there. That's it. We move on to the Bakhmut front. This is Bakhmut. In the northern flank, we have fighting reported at Vasilkivka, towards Minkivka, which is over here. This is Vasilkivka, and fighting towards Novomakove. So this is the three areas the Russians are attacking. We will monitor further. It's very hard to tell if there's anything significant. I don't think there is. Although Vasilkivka is a bit more hairy, but definitely if you look at the history, it's also very sporadic. I don't think it's something significant. Over in the Bakhmut front, the rest of the front line, there is fighting reported at towards Pitechne and in Chasivya. In the Chasivya region, there is geolocation confirming the Russians have made advance inside of Chasivya, and they have entered into the Shevchenko district, and they're moving in the direction of the Mykolaiivka district. So we will see how these continue to develop, whether this will become a very strong foothold for the Russians, as the Ukrainians slowly losing their grip on Chasivya. We move on to the Torex sector of the New York front. This is Torex city. So Russian forces are attacking Bilakhora. Fighting is reported at Kudyumivka, Dilievka, towards Plishevka. Fighting reported towards Klebanbik. Fighting in Torex as well as Novospassky, which is Petrivka. So Torex is getting a bit more back to its old ways of a lot of arrows, but not much changes over here. Ukrainian forces geolocated along the road. Is an M113 abandoned or destroyed along the road. Yeah, M113 is not very. It provides very minimal armor, so don't expect too much from this armored vehicle. Over on the western flank of the New York front, fighting is reported at Zoria, Alexandro Kalinove, Yablunivka towards Stepanivka, and towards Rusinya. So the Russians are attacking along this area here. They probably are expanding the zone of control around Zoria. And yeah, the operation here remains the same. I have mentioned many times. I'm not going to rehash. If you want to know, just continue to follow. I will repeat myself again, maybe in the next or the next SITREP. There is frontline changes over in the west of Yablunivka, geolocation of Russian forces confirming that the Russians have made some advance in this sector. So that's the Yablunivka situation. And yeah, So this is a slow progression at Yablonivka, which also means that the Ukrainians are putting up a pretty good defense around Yablonivka, curtailing the Russians' ability to push out. So that's the main thing around here. We move on to the Pokrov front. This is Pokrov. This is Minokhrad, and this is eyes, and this is eyelashes, and this is our anyway the over in the Minokhrad, yeah, you can see that I'm actually very tired, which is why I'm drawing things to entertain myself. So yeah, if not, I'm gonna fall asleep. So over in the Minokhrad sector, so let me see how do I adjust this mapping. So this Minokhrad sector fighting is reported at Melanivka, Mykolaiivka, Marolivivka, Khrodivka, Promin, and towards Minokhrad. The main action right here is the Russians continue attempt to move in this direction to basically secure the entire eastern flank, eastern flank of Minokhrad. Khrodivka, generally the idea is to straighten the front line around here, but which the Russians seems to fail to do so far. Yeah, so the Ukrainians are also spending a lot of resources and effort to hold the Russians along this line in this very weird configuration of the front line. So that's the main situation in this sector. Ukrainians are doing decently in some fronts in terms of defenses. Other front line, they are like France, in World War II. So the geolocation of Russian forces in this sector near Shevchenko-Perche, confirming the Russians' advance in this sector. This is already mapped by the Ukrainians, so there's no argument about that already. So over in the Pokrov sector, so let me move the front line. So this is Pokrov. In the Pokrov sector, the Russians are attacking at Lysivka, towards Novopalivka, towards Pokrov, Udashny, Novosayevka, and Novomykolaivka. The main action isn't here. This is a static line. It's still pretty much in the towards the west. This is still the main direction of attack. They are moving towards Novopihorodny. They are trying to secure Udashny. I mean, talking about the Russians. They're trying to secure Novosayevka and Novomykolaivka. So seemingly a bit difficult. The Ukrainians are doing their best defending around here. The lack of progress by the Russians is the sign that the Ukrainians are actually doing pretty well in the defensive operations. In the southern flank, there is only fighting reported at Orikove, but that's about it. Fighting is now moving towards Filia. So this Orikove, which is the Russians, has already announced the capture since the 12th of May. The Russians did mention about this fighting around Orikove. Filia is mentioned by the Russians as well. This could be shelling, or this could be the Russians continuing to advance in the northern flank of Orikove in this direction towards Filia. While they are still trying to secure the Orikove region, that is a possibility. So we will continue to monitor the situation. Tentatively, we are slowly, running out of intel again. This is the only small little geolocation that we have yesterday. We further south into the Andriivka sector. So rather, what should I do this? Okay, the eastern half of Koma front. Fighting is reported at Constantinople, according to the Ukrainians, as usual, as well as Bahatir, which the front line really has moved already. Fighting is reported at Oleksievka. Geolocation of Ukrainian artillery, a paladin of Dashny was noted. There is also this geolocation of Ukrainian forces, APC, got destroyed around here, but that invalidated Russian claims. But fighting continues to move towards Zaporizhia. Fighting is reported at Dvorichna, according to the Ukrainians. There's fighting reported at Koma and towards Merne. So you can see this, every arrow looks like it's in this direction. Generally, as the Russians are trying to push all the way out. Important, of course, to note is this bulge here. The Ukrainians are here in a very difficult position, defending basically nothing. No, that's strategically not very important. So even if they want to counter attack, imagine sending troops into this pocket. Is looking like suicide. So such position is really poor to hold positions in. But Ukrainians being Ukrainians, they really love their pockets. They really love their burritos. So over in the rest of the Koma front, there is fighting reported at Belatske, Shevchenko, Vinnypole, Novosibirsk, and towards Temerivka. This is pretty routine. There's not much changes around here, so I don't expect too much. This is probably either Ukraine is doing really well or the Russians are not really trying. So that's it from the Koma front. We go on to the Zaporizhia front. And before I start, the Zaporizhia front, happy birthday to you if your birthday today. And so do check out the DPA open mic. We have a great discussion a day ago, half a day ago. So check it out. It's pretty entertaining, especially the second half, which is very funny because the more I thought people is not gonna join, the more people join. This is really weird. Over in the Huaypole, there is fighting reported at Petrovka and Huaypole. So this is very interesting. This is very unusual. Although I feel like the main idea of the operation is still pretty much diversionary in essence. This is both reported by the Russian Defense Ministry at the Huaypole sector. So this is the Huaypole sector. So let's see. Over in the rest of the front line at the Orikhiv and the Kamsky sector, the Russians are attacking at Novoandrievka and Kanyamsky. So this you can see the operation at the Zaporizhia front is dying down. So the Zaporizhia offensive is pretty much over. They fully embodied their role right now as diversions or just pinning operations. And there is shelling reported over at Lezhine. Don't know how to pronounce this. Let's see the Russian word. Lezhine. So Lezhine. So at Lezhine, this is actually the first time this is mentioned. It's off Zaporizhia, but very far away from the front line. Not important. We move on to the last front line, the Kherson front. So at the Kherson front, there is nothing special. There's only shelling report only at Antonivka, Yakhinka, and Ohivka. Otherwise, that's about it. The Russian Defense Ministry yesterday's SITREP also mentioned about some strikes, some missile strikes or whatnot. Yeah, not important. No, not important. Yeah, that happens anything that happens every day. Sometimes not very important. Especially we can't measure it, so it's not very useful. So check out the DP open mic. Thank you for everyone for watching. I'll see you guys in the next. Subscribe. Press the like button. Bye guys. Update.